Well, hey, boys and girls, welcome to Issues, the political talk show that's sure to keep you guessing what's going on in the world because I still keep guessing. Even though I think I know what's going on, I'm amazed. Every time I blink an eye, there's something new going on and something screwy going on and some way to get over on us, and they seem to do it every time. And this is no exception, folks. This is no exception. And so let's start with the breaking news. Right off the hot wire is the big fire in Richmond at the gas refinery. That's right, folks. This thing started in the petroleum place in one of the few refineries in California, and shit started burning. I guess there was a leak, and they started a fire, and thousands of people are now going to the hospitals so they can get a share of that cash. But you know what? The first thing they said is going to happen is the gas prices are going up 10 to 50 cents. That's right, folks, 10 to 50 cents a gallon because of this little fire. And that leaves me kind of wondering, first off, I don't use Chevron at all. I never have. I don't use Chevron, so why should that make other places' gas go up? I'm not quite sure. And the second thing is it was a diesel line that broke, and it had nothing to do with the gas that I use in my car. And the rest of the refinery's still going. It's just this one little part that had a leak, and they burned off the extra gas, and so we're going to raise the gas prices. Well, you know what? I think we need to take a look at the board of directors and see what they're doing about this situation. Let's take a quick look. Yep, that's what I thought. So anyway, you know what that means? More of our money's just going to go up in smoke and gas and smoke, and there you have it, folks. It's going to be a nice, cold, hot summer. And speaking of cold, hot summers, out in Africa, folks, it's wintertime down there, but they're having a heck of a time because of the Ebola virus breakout. Now, this is some nasty stuff there, folks. This stuff kills you. It kills you quick. And there's no cure for this whatsoever. None whatsoever, folks. And Africa is kind of a rich country, and there's a lot of people there. The rich guys don't want all the people to get the money, so they had to come up with this way to kill off all these Africans. The AIDS virus is doing a pretty good job, but this Ebola one's really going to kick some ass, folks. And we just got to applaud those mad scientists that just keep creating all these wonderful diseases. I mean, these guys work in that laboratory day and night, coming up with these diseases with no cures, so they can let them out there and kill a bunch of people, and then maybe they'll come up with a cure in about 20 or 30 years or so. But, our CDC, the people, the Center of Disease Control, are the ones that release this stuff, and they're all part of that Bilderberg group where they want to get rid of the population on the planet. So, good job, folks. And you know how they say to stop the Ebola virus is don't shake hands. That's right. If you don't shake hands with anybody, you won't get this. So don't you stress it. Just kind of be rude and tell everybody to, keep it. I don't want the Ebola virus. So anyway, let's get on to the hot topic right now is the Olympics. All kinds of stuff's going on. How about that? Go America. We got all these big superpowers fighting over the medals and the trophies and trying to get the dream teams together. And man, have we got a bunch of dream teams. I tell you, we got the best basketball teams and the best volleyball teams and the best gymnasts. And you know what that costs, folks, to get one of them gold medals? Well, they figured it out. They take all the money that they invest in the Olympics and the training and the housing and the airfare and to get all these Olympians over there to England to compete and try to win these gold medals. Well, you know what? Each one of those gold medals cost us $10 million. That's all, folks, just $10 million for one gold medal. If you work out on the law of averages, that's not so bad, huh? And anyway, yeah, dream teams, let's go. But anyway, I've got a special report from Pierre, our overseas correspondent, Pierre Otter. Are you out there, Pierre? Come in, Pierre. Oui, oui, mademoiselles, messieurs, oui, oui, Spilly Chili, oui, oui, Santa Cruz. Hello there, everybody in TV land. Pierre Otter here to say, Oh, the Olympics are so wonderful. We are having so much fun here in England with all the people. Oh, my goodness, folks. Oh, and Pierre just loves the Olympics. You know why? Because of all the little girls. That's right, those little gymnastic girls. Ooh la la. They are so sweet, and I love them all. Oh, I just want to kiss you. And you know what else Pierre likes? You know what else, Spilly? I like those volleyball girls, too. Oh, that's right, Spilly. Look at that now. I'm telling you, I've been out here every day watching the girls, and you U.S. girls are the best. Let me tell you, you're going to get gold for sure. For sure, oui. And so, but the real laugh out here, Spilly, let me tell you, you know what the real talk is? That Mitt Romney guy, where in the hell did you find him, Spilly? He's a real kook, that guy. Oh, yeah, he just comes to England and starts spewing his mouth off and saying that we don't know what we're doing. And then he goes to Israel and says, oh, the Palestinians are bad, and pisses them off. And then he goes to Nuremberg and he says, kiss my ass, Spilly. Did you hear him on TV say, kiss my ass to those reporters? Well, anyway, I think that's really cool. You guys got some real losers there in America. Oh, I sure hope he's not president, let me tell you. No, that Mitt Romney guy, he doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Oh, that Romney guy, well, he could be French himself. He's such a deadbeat, let me tell you. Oh, yes, that's right. So anyway, Spilly, please tell all those people in America, no, Mitt Romney, no. Anyway, Pierre Otis signing out from England saying, oui, bonjour, bye-bye. Well, thanks, Pierre. That was really interesting. And yeah, that Romney guy is a character. So anyway, there is a presidential race going on. It's an election year, and as you know, I've been ranting and raving about this on every show, and today's no exception. And the polls are in, folks. That's right. The polls are in. We got less than half the people like Obama, and less than half the people like Romney. So we got two losers, and we don't like either one of them. And so that just makes for a great competition. And they're saying that this is going to be one of the tightest elections ever because if any one of them gets a vote, it'll be a miracle. And speaking of our Mr. Obama, he's such the man and wants to do right with the world and show everybody how good we are. And I just heard today that we're giving $2 billion to Africa. Remember how I told you a couple episodes ago about how we're giving money away to all these countries? Well, check this out. $2 billion to South Africa, and that's one of the richer countries in Africa, by the way. We're going to give them $2 billion so they can invest in solar power. That's right. If they buy from our companies that your tax dollars went to subsidize and create, like that place in Fremont that went under, well, let's see how this works then. You taxpayers gave money to create these corporations. Now you taxpayers are giving money to South Africa so they can buy the products from the companies that you already paid for. And guess what, folks? The solar panels are going to South Africans and you get nothing for your tax dollars. Isn't that a deal? That's right. We give the money to Africa, they give the money back to the corporations, they get the solar panels, and your tax dollars get you squat. I think that's just fabulous. And speaking of fabulous, how about all the crazies out there in the world? I mean, good Lord, what the hell's going on out there, you people? Let me tell you, things got really dicey about 3 weeks ago. In Budapest, Hungary, a bus full of Israeli kids was blown up by a terrorist. Well, the first thing the Israelis do is say, oh, it's got to be Iran because they don't like us. Well, guess what, Israelis? Nobody likes you right now. Nobody. It could have been anybody that blew up that bus. Anybody at all. But the fact that you guys were running straight to the Iranians, well, you know what? World War III. I know you guys are itching to just blow everything up. You're just itching, and we've already said we'll back you, Israelis. So, let's go ahead. Why waste more time? But you know what saved the day, folks? Right before we started stressing about this whole Israeli thing, we had a psycho go off here, man. How about this kid? Is this guy nutso or what? He goes into the movie and goes Batman on a bunch of people and decides that he's just going to shoot up the theater and play Joker on their ass and shoots up a bunch of innocent people and kids at this great movie. Well, goddamn, man, how many people died? Like 24. The Grim Reaper was happy that day, let me tell you. But you know what? You look at that guy, he doesn't have a brain to do something like that. And sure enough, in the news a couple days later, it turns out, well, he's been seeking psychiatric care for some time, and that he has a very well-known doctor that's been looking out for him. Well, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I like to read a lot of Dean Koontz books. And if you put two and two together, there's a lot of brainwashing going on in our world right now. And these doctors that hypnotize you and put in these subliminal messages, and then you go and do something and you don't even know you did it till you're done, well, guess who's laughing? That doctor that made this kid go and shoot those people up. I tell you, man, that kid didn't have the cojones to do this by himself. And that doctor's laughing his ass off at the University of Colorado there. Well, good job. You did it. You worked on him. And you know, so what that does, folks, that brings up the whole controversy again about gun control. That's right. If we didn't have guns in the people's hands like this, well, this would have never happened. And that we got to get rid of all guns, and let's just kill that part of the Constitution, and you know, that way we don't have to worry about it. Well, you know what, folks? The other half and the NRA and all those knuckleheads, they say, well, guess what? If those people in the audience all had guns and this guy came in to shoot them and everybody pulled their gun and blew that sucker away before he got his first shot off, well, then he wouldn't have shot anybody. So there goes your gun control. If everybody had a gun, he wouldn't have shot anybody because they would have shot him first. Well, that means we should all have guns, folks. That's right. So race out to Kmart or Big 5 Shopping Mart, any of those places. Get your AK-47 assault rifles. I saw them on sale for $258. You can have one too. And yeah, you can chase the raccoons away with those, huh? Yeah, AK-47s, raccoons. Well, folks, I got all kinds of stuff for you. I've got some classic King Spilly coming up. We've got some Uncle Spunky in line for you. And let's just get on with the show, shall we? Are you under my control? Good. You must forget everything you hear on community television. You must forget everything you hear on public radio. You must forget that we have a big control system in the 4th floor of the AT&T building that's recording every phone call, every text message, every email, any type of communications we know about it. So forget it. Forget that we know that. And you must remember to forget that I told you this. So remember, you have to vote for incumbents. So remember, if you're not registered, don't, because it's not going to matter anyway. So remember, pay all your taxes and give all your money to the big corporations, because that's what keeps me rich. And remember, you don't have to worry, because I am your king. And now, I will return you back to your normal life. And anyway, to talk about the economy today, all the way from Washington, D.C., I am so honored to have this great gentleman with us today. He was part of the committee on finances. He was part of the judicial system on finance reform. And now he's at the Federal Reserve taking care of all of us in the best way he can, all the way from Washington. Here we have Barney Franksfurter. Barney, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, I'm so glad to be able to come out today, Sandra. And how's things in your part of town?
Well, you know, we're struggling out here. I'm sure you're probably doing a lot better than we are. But let's just find out. You know, you got the insights. How is the economy these days?
Well, the economy's very fine. The Federal Reserve Bank is record profits in history. We got more money than we know what to do with, and everything's fine. I mean, as far as those other folks, the populace and stuff, they'll get over it. It's like, we had a 200-year plan here, but it's okay. It's all good.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. And so the bailout money's coming back in. How are we doing with all that bailout stuff?
Well, the bailout and stimulus money, we took half of it and gave it to the banks, and then they took half of it, and then they gave us back half of it, and everybody's getting another half of it. And so by the time we get halfway there, we should be okay.
Okay. That's wonderful. That's great news. AIG, what happened to all that money that we gave them?
Well, the AIG money, it's kind of funny because we sold that building, the Twin Towers, just before 9/11, and so the Chinese and so they're getting insurance. Everybody's going to get some insurance on half the money that they got half the money from, and so we got, half economy going here now, and then we can get another half, and then we can put it all together and make a whole economy. Everybody will be happy. Don't worry, just pay some more taxes. Thank you.
See, that makes perfectly good sense to me. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. You cleared up a lot of things for me. I'm sure my audience will appreciate it. I think they will. Well, there you have it, folks. Hear ye, citizens of the realm. I come to you today to inform you that we have the new BrainChip 2000 ready for your implants. That's right, folks. We can make your life so much easier with this new BrainChip 2000. All we do is we put it right up here on your forehead where nobody will see it. And guess what? You can go to the supermarket and you won't need any cash or credit card. In fact, you can go to any store in the world and all they'll do is just scan your brain and find what your ID number is, and they will be able to give you your money right there on the spot. That's right, folks. Never need an ID. It's all already implanted in your brain. You can't forge that one. And guess what, folks? We finally got it set now that we can listen to everything you say, track your every move, and in another year, we'll be able to see what you see. That's right, folks, all with that BrainChip 2000. And you better do it, otherwise we're going to steal your kids and throw them into jail and scare you into implanting every kid that's ever born with a brain chip. That's right, every baby from now on will have the BrainChip 2000, which makes our brain chip manufacturer extremely happy, by the way. So, there you go, folks. BrainChip 2000, get one today. Yeah. Well, hey, boys and girls, your good old pal Uncle Spunky Chunky Chili here, and I'm here to give you a lesson. That's right, folks, because some of you people still don't get it out there that this whole Federal Reserve thing's a sham, folks. The Federal Reserve is a bank. But it isn't a bank for the government. It's a bank owned by the Rothschilds, folks, and people in Europe that are running our world. Well, anyway, check this out. Here, this is this bank that they could just print money up whenever they feel like it, and they just print up funny money, and that's because the dollar's not worth anything anymore because they print up money that isn't worth anything. And so if you ever wonder why your dollar ain't worth anything, because they make them out of nothing, thin air. So guess what they're doing, folks? They're taking this funny money that they make and they're investing it in our government because our government spends way too much money on other governments and other things, and they're not taking care of us. And so the Federal Reserve, these bankers, are taking funny money, they're investing it in our government, and they're charging interest. And you know that interest is where the bankers get free money for just making up free money. And so here we are. We pay these people, and then they're getting interest, and they're taking this funny money, and then you guys, you're paying interest to the Federal Reserve, and that's why we owe them trillions and trillions of dollars. So guess what, folks? If we get rid of the Federal Reserve, we get rid of all this funny money, and your dollar's going to be worth a little bit more. But you know what? Unfortunately, the bankers are just going to cut off all the oil supplies and everything else. So yeah, it's going to be tricky. But you got to be realistic. It's all about the bankers, and once we figure that out, we can stop it. And the Federal Reserve's a good place to start. But if you keep voting for Obama and Romney, forget about it. Vote for Roseanne, like Spilly says. Yeah, that's the ticket. Ha! Fucking Spilly, you're an idiot. Anyway. All right.
Hi, I'm Robert Norris. I work with a group called Homeless United for Friendship and Freedom. And Sandra's given me 5 minutes to rant at you, so here we go. Rhode Island has recently passed a Bill of Rights for homeless people. And California activists are pressing for that to happen here in Santa Cruz and in California as well. This is striking out, at least in theory, against the national wave of out-of-sight, out-of-mind laws here in Santa Cruz and in other jurisdictions affecting many of the country's roughly 643,000 street folks. The Rhode Island Homeless Bill of Rights prohibits police, healthcare workers, landlords, or employers from threatening homeless people unfairly because of their housing status. It doesn't ask for or grant special or extra rights or not granted to any other person or group of persons, just guaranteeing existing rights, guaranteed by the California and U.S. constitutions by specifically identifying homeless persons as having those rights. Presently, homeless persons who are discriminated against suffer damages. Police in Santa Cruz and elsewhere rely on the fear generated by their badge, uniform, gun, and training to force people to move along, particularly poor and homeless people who should have a right to use public spaces like all of us. Asserting your rights against half a dozen squad cars that can suddenly appear on Pacific Avenue is not something most folks, much less poor folks, are interested in doing. When officers Warren, Forbes, and Winston appear to enforce a merchant's special interest demand that the public sidewalk be cleared of people they find unsightly, such as they do under the sitting ban. When a lawyer across from New Leaf wants to shut down performers they don't like, we have an example of the enforcement of the severe time and place restrictions on that kind of thing. When a local host threatens a poor woman sitting with a sign on Pacific Avenue with a ticket, it's not easy for a homeless person to say, "Leave me alone, I have a right to be here." We're entering dark times when it's becoming socially acceptable to behave in a bigoted and brutal way toward poor and homeless people. The SCPD is now urging people to inform on their homeless neighbors, to let loose the police on those whose only crime is their need to do what those in homes do every night: sleep. The SCPD has unilaterally announced that even though there's survival shelter for less than 5% of Santa Cruz's homeless population, it will begin destroying homeless campsites throughout the area in the next month. I'm making this broadcast on July 11th, 2012. Santa Cruz authorities are threatening to prosecute over 150 people, most of them likely homeless, for not trekking to court to deal with harassment tickets they previously gave them for life-sustaining behavior. These prosecutions threaten up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine for not coming to court to deal with tickets for sleeping, sitting on the sidewalk, having an open container in public, riding a bike the wrong way on a one-way street, being in a park after hours, or being at City Hall at night, to name a few of the crimes being used to terrorize the poor. The Coonerty cabal at City Council, backed by Take Back Santa Cruz and the Downtown Association, passed laws that clear-cut the Constitution, give free rein to administrative heads to issue executive orders that set up forbidden zones, making Santa Cruz a little like Northern Ireland in the 70s or Afghanistan today, because simply being at City Hall at night after 10 o'clock or sitting on a bench at the library at that time, or sleeping anywhere after 11, deprives you of all constitutional rights. You can't be there, you're subject to arrest. Back in February, Chief Vogel selectively targeted homeless activists, reporters, writers, and peacekeepers, the Santa Cruz 11, of which I am one. Though judges have dismissed charges against half of us, DA Bobley is still spending hundreds of thousands in resources and court time to prevent a resurgence of the Occupy Santa Cruz movement here. We face up to 7 years in prison for peaceful protest or simply reporting on that protest. Things have gotten worse. Vogel's vultures are now targeting homeless encampments in a city where 95% of the homeless, as I said before, have no legal place to sleep. There's currently serious controversy around the covering up of discrimination against disabled people out at the Homeless Service Center, which I call the Homeless Lack of Services Center. The mean-spirited officiousness which has thrown people in wheelchairs and walkers out of shelter is simply a reflection of the broader cruelty that is being pushed as tough love or economic necessity or simply budget cuts. Those who peacefully protest, like Gary Johnson and Ed Fry of the Peace Camp 2010, have already been sentenced to 6 months in jail. Johnson has been sentenced to an additional 2 years in jail for sleeping on a bench outside the courthouse with his "sleep is not a crime" sign. It falls on each of us to do what we can to stop this growing darkness. As I said before in this program, carry a camera or a phone with video capacity. You may see police massing to terrorize someone whose visible poverty is an embarrassment to the happy myth that we're all living in a fun shopping mall with endless credit. Stop and take photos. Call others over to watch. Speak about what you see then and there. It's your money that's funding these social cleansing expeditions. The upcoming election forums are not usually that helpful because they provide the illusion that the police and city manager govern with the consent of the governed. Actually, those who spend the most generally win. But as more and more people come to see this, that the fall election follies may provide people with the motivation, these follies may provide you with and folks generally with the motivation to form new movements, to take the kind of peaceful direct action that might really save their homes, their jobs, their families, and their rights. I'm Robert Nourse. Thanks for listening.